Chosen ones, have you ever wondered why those who dismissed you can't seem to let go? Why your absence haunts them more than they dare to admit? You know when something is not as it seems. They pretend not to care, but their silence is louder than any words they could ever speak. Beneath that mask of indifference lies a storm brewing, one that they can no longer control. As you removed yourself from their world, you created a void that gnaws at their soul like a relentless tide, wearing down the walls they've built. They may try to convince themselves that you were just a fleeting chapter, but the truth is, your presence is indelible, staining their thoughts like ink on a page that refuses to fade. As they scroll through their days, each moment you once shared replays in their thoughts like a broken record, the needle stuck on the same poignant notes. Their fingers itch to trace the lines of your life once more, leading them to your social media profiles with a compulsion they cannot resist. They scroll, they search, they linger on every post, trying to glean some hint of how you are faring without them, whether you are thriving or aching as they are. It's as if your digital footprints are the breadcrumbs they need to follow, to grasp at a connection that has slipped beyond their reach. They ask mutual friends about you, but cloak their curiosity in casual tones, as if the mention of your name is an afterthought, not the driving force behind their inquiries. Yet, with every question, they betray themselves further, revealing the depth of their obsession. Your name, once spoken with ease, now carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken regrets, each one a reminder of what they've lost. They may feign indifference, but their actions are loud, crashing waves against the shores of their denial, each one eroding the wall of detachment they've tried so desperately to build. Their behavior is a silent cry, a plea to the universe that your paths might cross again, even if only in the smallest, most mundane of ways. They ache for the familiarity of your presence, the certainty of your gaze, the rhythm of your voice. Their obsession is not loud or grand. It is the quiet desperation of a soul that has lost its anchor, drifting in the sea of what once was. You were never just a chapter. You were the very book they can't stop rereading, even as they try to convince themselves they've moved on. But deep down they know, every scroll, every question, every lingering thought is proof that they care far more than they dare to admit. You've poured out your essence, each drop a testament to the depth of your love. Your words have been a lifeline, thrown into the abyss where they stand, drowning in their own self-imposed limitations. You've encouraged them, believing in their potential more than they ever could themselves, hoping that your faith might ignite a spark of change within them. You've loved with the ferocity of 1,000 suns, offering warmth where only coldness resided, hoping that your light would pierce through the darkness that has enveloped their soul. Yet despite your unwavering efforts, they stand unmoved, as if rooted in the quicksand of their own stubbornness. You've seen them stumble, trip over the same obstacles, fall into the same traps. Each time you've extended your hand, ready to pull them from the mire, offering guidance that could have altered their path. But your words are met with resistance, your efforts dismissed as if your love is a burden they refuse to bear. They cling to their familiar struggles as though they are old friends, unwilling to sever ties with the pain that has become their identity. Every time you've tried to show them a better way, they've turned away, preferring the comfort of their own misery to the unknown territory of growth and change. You've watched, helpless, as they continue down the path of self-destruction, your heart breaking with every misstep they take. It's as if you're shouting into the void, your voice swallowed by the vast emptiness that surrounds them. The advice you offer, the wisdom you share, falls on deaf ears, as if they are encased in an impenetrable shell, hardened by years of refusal to accept the love and support they so desperately need. Your love has been a river, flowing endlessly, but they stand on the banks, refusing to drink. The waters of your compassion and care are wasted, evaporating into the air as they stubbornly ignore the lifeline you've extended. Their refusal to listen, to change, to grow, is a rejection of the love you've offered so freely. And so, you stand there watching as they sink deeper into the mire, your hands still outstretched, knowing that no matter how much you've poured, how much you've encouraged, how much you've loved, they will remain stuck in their ways, blind to the value of your guidance. Their hearts are fortresses, built stone by stone with the mortar of pride and denial. No matter how much wisdom you've offered, how many paths you've illuminated, they have chosen to ignore you, not because your advice lacks merit, but because they are prisoners of their own stubbornness. You've stood before them, a beacon of truth and support, but they've turned away, their eyes clouded by the fog of their own resistance. Their refusal is not a reflection of your efforts. It's the manifestation of their internal struggle, a battle between the desire to grow and the fear of what that growth might demand. They have locked themselves in, behind walls that only they can tear down. Each suggestion you've made, every piece of advice, has been met with a cold shoulder, not because it was flawed, but because their pride is too great to admit that they might need help. Their hearts, once perhaps open to change, have hardened over time, like clay left too long in the sun, brittle and unyielding. They've chosen the familiar discomfort of their struggles over the unknown relief that your guidance could bring. It's as if they are walking through a desert, dying of thirst, yet refusing the water you offer, convinced that they can find their own way to a mirage they believe is real. You've watched them falter, knowing that with just a bit of openness, a willingness to accept help, they could have avoided the pitfalls that have become their reality. But their pride is a noose around their neck, tightening with every refusal, every dismissal of your words. They struggle, not because they are incapable, but because they refuse to let go of the notion that they must do it all alone, that to accept help is to admit weakness. Their hearts, once perhaps soft and receptive, have become as hard as the tasks they now find themselves burdened with, their denial a shield they hold up against the change they fear. You have given all you can, offered all that is within your power to give, but they stand there refusing to see, refusing to listen, refusing to change. Their struggle is self-imposed, a consequence of their refusal to grow, to adapt, to let their hearts be softened by the wisdom you've tried to impart. And so, you are left with the reality that their hardened hearts are their own undoing, a barrier that only they can choose to break, if ever they decide to open themselves to the help you've so freely offered. You are the opportunity they never realized they needed until it was too late. Your presence brought value, wisdom, and a love that could have transformed their lives, yet they turned away, blind to the gifts you offered. You stood as a beacon of growth, a chance for them to rise above their limitations, yet they chose to remain in the shadows, oblivious to the light you provided. Now, in your absence, they face the cold reality of what they've lost, a missed opportunity that will haunt them in the quiet moments when they realize what could have been. Your friend, the one who dismissed your offers of help, now finds themselves drowning in the very struggles you could have helped them navigate. They rejected your outstretched hand, too proud or too afraid to admit they needed you. Now, as they falter under the weight of their own burdens, the absence of your support is a void they cannot fill. The path you could have walked together, where they might have found strength and clarity, is now a lonely road where every step is a reminder of the opportunity they let slip through their fingers. A partner once stood by your side, unaware of the love they were receiving. They took your affection for granted, assuming it would always be there, unchanging, unwavering. But love is not a given, it is a gift, and when they failed to appreciate it, that gift was withdrawn. Now, in the emptiness left behind, they see the magnitude of their mistake. Your love was the foundation upon which they could have built something extraordinary. Yet they let it crumble, and now they are left to sift through the ruins of what could have been. In the workplace that undervalued your contributions, the impact of your absence is felt like a missing piece of a puzzle, leaving an incomplete picture that no one else can fill. They fail to recognize the depth of your insight, the strength of your work ethic, and the innovation you brought to the table. Now, as they struggle to replicate the success you once effortlessly provided, the loss of your presence becomes a glaring reminder of the opportunity they squandered. You are the missed opportunity that lingers in their minds, a reminder of what they could have had, if only they had seen your value before it was too late. They are emotionally unavailable, their hearts sealed off like a fortress, with walls built from years of unresolved pain. You've tried to reach them, extending your hand into the abyss where their emotions should reside, but all you find is a void, a cold, empty space where warmth and connection should flourish. They are caught in a labyrinth of their own making, lost in the darkness that swirls within them, unable or unwilling to find their way out. No matter how much you give, how deeply you care, their heart remains locked, impenetrable, a fortress where even the light you offer cannot penetrate. You've seen it in their eyes, eyes that look through you rather than at you, reflecting nothing but the turmoil they hide beneath a facade of normalcy. Their words are hollow, their gestures mechanical, as if they're merely going through the motions of being present, but their spirit is elsewhere, trapped in a prison of their own fears and insecurities. They cannot give you what you need because they are too consumed by their own darkness, too lost in their own struggles to even notice the love and connection you are trying to cultivate. Consider the friend who is always distant, no matter how many times you reach out, or the partner who never fully engages, leaving you feeling as though you're holding a shadow rather than a person. They are emotionally unavailable, not because of you, but because they are at war with themselves. Their heart is a battlefield, scarred by past wounds they've never healed, and in that chaos, they cannot find the space to truly be there for you. Your efforts to connect are met with a wall of silence or indifference, leaving you standing on the outside, unable to break through. But now, the truth is beginning to surface, like a crack in their carefully constructed armor. They are starting to see who you are and what you represent, a beacon of light that contrasts starkly with the darkness they've become so accustomed to. They are beginning to understand that your presence in their life is not just another fleeting connection, but a chance to step out of their emotional exile. Yet even as this truth dawns on them, they remain trapped, caught between the desire to reach out and the fear of confronting the emotions they've long buried. In their struggle, they begin to see the reality of their emotional unavailability, realizing that the love and connection they've been missing has been within reach all along, if only they could muster the courage to open their hearts. Your double-back days are over. You've spent too long retracing steps on paths that lead nowhere, returning to people and places that siphon your energy like leeches, leaving you hollow and worn. Each time you allowed yourself to be pulled back into those toxic environments, hoping that somehow things would be different, you found yourself drowning in the same poisoned well. The cycle has been a slow erosion of your spirit, a battle where you've given more than you could afford, only to be met with the same draining forces that feed on your hope and leave you desolate. You've returned to that so-called friend, the one who cloaks their envy in the guise of concern, only to be cut down by their sharp words disguised as jokes. You've revisited relationships that promised change, but instead delivered the same hollow echoes of promises never kept. Each time you walked away a little more bruised, a little more broken, the light within you dimmed by their darkness. You hoped that this time would be different, that they would see your worth and finally rise to meet you in the space of growth and positivity you so desperately crave. But their energy remained stagnant, dragging you down into their depths instead of lifting you up. Now the time has come to break the cycle. There's no more space in your life for the double back, no more energy to be wasted on those who refuse to change. You've outgrown the people and situations that once held you captive, their hooks no longer capable of sinking into your skin. The decision to move forward isn't just a choice, it's a necessity for your survival, for the flourishing of your soul. You've learned that not everyone can follow you into the light, and that's okay. Their inability to grow is not your responsibility to bear. So you've stopped looking over your shoulder, stopped waiting for others to catch up to the strides you're making. You're moving forward, eyes fixed on the horizon, where new opportunities and healthier connections await. The weight of those toxic ties has been lifted, and with each step you feel lighter, freer, more powerful in your resolve to never go back. You're done with the exhausting repetition of old patterns. You're forging a new path where your growth is the priority and your well-being is non-negotiable. This is your time to rise, and nothing from the past will hold you down anymore. Freedom is your portion. It is not a privilege granted by others, but a birthright that you claim when you finally sever the chains that have bound you. True healing begins the moment you choose to release what no longer serves you, the toxic job that drained your spirit, the relationship that suffocated your soul, or the friendship that masked envy as concern. Each of these was a weight you carried, pulling you down, slowing your progress, and dulling your shine. But the moment you chose to let go, to walk away, you felt the shift within you, a liberation as palpable as the first breath after breaking the surface of deep waters. You've spent too long clinging to situations that offered nothing but pain, hoping against hope that things would change, that somehow the poison would turn to balm. But instead of healing, you found yourself trapped in a cycle of disappointment and despair, your energy siphoned by the very things you once believed you needed. Yet when you finally decided to release them, you discovered a truth so powerful it shook you to your core. Freedom is not found in the places you've been taught to look. It's found in the courage to let go. When you walked away from that toxic environment, whether it was a job that stifled your creativity, a relationship that drained your emotional reserves, or a friendship that fed on your insecurities, the peace that followed was undeniable. It was as if a storm had passed, leaving behind a quiet calm where you could finally breathe, think, and grow. The moment you chose yourself over the demands and expectations of others, the door to better opportunities swung open, revealing a path that had been hidden by the shadows of your past. Now each step you take is lighter, each breath deeper, as the weight of those burdens no longer hinders your progress. You are no longer shackled to the past, to the people or places that sought to keep you small. Instead, you are free to expand, to explore, and to embrace the fullness of your potential. The freedom you now experience is not just the absence of those toxic ties, it is the presence of everything you were meant to be. Your growth is no longer stunted by the weeds of negativity that once choked your roots. Instead, you are flourishing, reaching toward the light that has always been your destiny. Freedom is your portion, and with it comes the power to shape your future, to walk the path that aligns with your highest self. The past may have tried to hold you back, but you have chosen freedom, and in that choice, you have found the true essence of healing. Keep your foot on the enemy's neck. You've come too far to let anything or anyone drag you back into the shadows. The darkness you fought to expose, the chains you've broken, are not just victories of the past. They are the foundation upon which your future is built. You've released what no longer serves you, severed ties with the weight that once held you down, and in doing so, you've claimed your power. This is your time to continue that fight, to keep pressing forward, to ensure that the forces that once sought to diminish your light remain powerless beneath your unyielding strength. You are not just surviving, you are thriving. Your growth is unstoppable, your freedom undeniable. The enemy, whether it's fear, doubt, or the toxic remnants of your past, is beneath you now. You've risen above the limitations that once confined you, and there is no turning back. Your path is clear, your purpose aligned with the highest vision of who you are meant to be. Keep your focus sharp, your resolve unshakable, and continue to expose the darkness wherever it may lurk. The light you shine is a beacon, not just for yourself, but for those who will follow in your footsteps, inspired by your courage and tenacity. Express your gratitude for the strength that has brought you here, and for the resilience that will carry you forward. In embracing your freedom, you've opened the door to endless possibilities, to a life where your healing and growth are the priorities. Stay strong, hold fast to the lessons you've learned, and never forget the power you hold within you. Your story is one of triumph, and it deserves to be shared. So keep moving forward, keep your foot on the enemy's neck, and never hesitate to let your voice be heard. Share your story. Let others see the light you've cultivated through your battles. Your experiences are the testimony of a warrior, and in sharing them, you empower others to do the same. Together we rise, stronger and freer than ever before.